to the Strong, Happy, Healthy podcast. I am so excited today because I am joined in the studio for the very, very first time by my very special client called Emma. And we are very excited. We are treating this like a conversation. We're not nervous at all.
Not at
And,
all.
and we've got lots to cover and lots to talk about. And I really want you to hear from Emma because she will relate to many of you listening who have felt like you've been on a diet your whole life. And
Absolutely.
Emma has a wealth of knowledge from since she's been coaching with me, and her background and history and where she's come from and how she's been able to change and learn and move forwards. But I don't want to say too much. So I'm going to let Emma introduce herself and explain why she started coaching, which was a year ago. So I'm going to hand over to you, Emma, and welcome to the podcast one more time.
Thank you, Debra. It's lovely to be here. And you make me sound so much more knowledgeable than I really am. It's literally just a chat about my journey.
Yeah.
And if you're happy to listen, then I'm happy to share. My name is Emma and I am a mum of 3 kids. And when I say kids, I mean teenagers. Nobody prepares you for the teenage years, do they?
No.
And I'm a working mum. I'm a teacher. And yeah, busy, busy, busy. That's the routine of life. And oh my goodness, you kind of feel like you've got everything figured out. And the one thing I could never quite figure out was my diet, was my yo-yo dieting, was my every Monday starting another new diet. And I promise you, do you remember when I did my login or my very first sheet for you and you said to me about what diets have I tried?
Yeah,
Do you
I
remember
think it was
how
a
long
very
the
long
list?
list.
It was such a long list. I mean, yeah, Slimming World consistently. I've done Weight Watchers, Rosemary Connolly, Slimming World. I've stood on the scales and been applauded. And then I've also stood on the scales some weeks and felt shamed because haven't lost any weight, or I might have gained weight, and all of those feelings that come with that. I've done fasting. I've done Joe Wicks, but not properly. I've done everything. The 5-2.
I remember, I remember, Emma, you said to me, we had a conversation after you'd filled that form in, and you said to me, I can't remember your exact words, but you were saying, whatever's new, whatever's out there,
I will
I
take.
buy into it. I
Oh,
do it.
and I think
Absolutely.
even my time under your coaching, I've asked you a couple of questions because I've seen things that seem too good to be true, haven't I?
Yeah.
And you've just went, no, rein it in, rein it in.
Yeah.
And I tell you something, you think you are in control of your eating. And I will tell you this time last year, I felt so fed up. Christmas time, yeah, your eating goes out of control. And the one thing that I don't think I ever put on that sheet, I actually signed up to an app that was the Hypnotic Gastric Band by a very well-known mind, like what are they called? Hypnotist out there. You
Yeah.
know who I'm talking about.
You
And
didn't tell me that.
I didn't. I laid there every night thinking if I listen to this hour and a half audio, it will make me think I've got a gastric band and I won't eat as much.
Yeah. Do you know what? I do want to let you do the talking, but I can't help interject because as a coach in the health and fitness industry that strives to help women feel their best, it is so it maddens me and saddens me that vulnerable women who genuinely just want to
I
do the best by
know.
themselves are targeted and sold these
Yeah.
quick fixes, fads, magic potions,
And that,
podcasts,
yeah.
and all sorts.
I know, and I like to think I'm an intelligent girl, and I think, why was I getting it so wrong? And I just remember speaking to my friend Katie, and she was talking to me about you, and I'd met her at Starbucks for a coffee, and she she was talking to me about you, and then me being me, she goes, you having anything to eat? I was like, oh no, I'm not having anything to eat. I will have a cup of tea with skimmed milk and all of this. And she says, oh, I'm following a diet plan, and she got herself a little slice of something. I can't quite remember what it was. And I was like, well, how come she is literally having her cake and eating it? And that's when she started telling me about you. And I felt so deflated after Christmas. Eating is out of control over the Christmas months, I think. And I literally, yeah, it was out of control.
Do
And
you? Oh, sorry, Emma. I was
and
just
I
going to ask
just
you a question there.
go on
Sorry.
now.
Do you
Go on.
think that the reason it was out of control was from the years of dieting history that you had clocked up and all the distorted and misinformation that you had been fed that perhaps led to this place you had got to
Yeah,
in December,
absolutely.
last December?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't know if you're coming on or going. And I think with social media, I think I told you, I'd I had Slimming World things coming up on my Instagram. I had keto. I had all of these different diet plans. Every lose the walk-in challenge, do this. You're so overloaded and overwhelmed with all of this misinformation, and it
Yeah,
is misinformation. You actually, yeah, you feel deflated quite quickly, and a lot of it is so sort of, I don't know, imagery and everything used on social media is so misleading, isn't it? It's so misleading. And we're talking of me, who I've spent all my life yo-yo dieting, and I spoke to Katie, and that's when I made that contact with you, didn't I?
yeah,
And here we are nearly a year later on, and yeah, there's lots to share and there's lots to tell. um but I just remember that very first week when I'd made contact with you and I had a meeting with you, and you were asking me about my diets, and I thought I only needed you for a couple of months. Do you remember? I
yeah,
said, so how long do I sign up? A couple of months and then you'll be done? And you were like, no, I think it might be a bit
yeah.
longer than a couple of months.
I usually respond, it's very difficult to put a time frame on things because everybody's different and change takes time and
Yeah,
undoing all the conditioning that has been exposed to you from years of dieting through no fault of your own.
no,
It's been, it's built all these perceptions of food and, it affects your relationship with food and how you view food, which kind of leads us in nicely to what do you, I mean, it's a big question, but what do you feel you've learned from coaching? What have you gained from coaching? Where are your biggest changes? Um, Obviously, we'll talk nearer the end about where your mindset is now,
mm.
but along the journey, what would you say that you've learnt along the journey?
Well, I learned that I didn't initially, I found it really hard. I remember saying to you, where's my meal plan? Why aren't you telling me what I can eat? Because that's what I'd been conditioned to do. I had followed a meal plan. And you said, well, there is no meal plan. And I found that really hard. And I think quite a few times I said, can you upload more pictures of what a day should look like? And you would reply to me, well, your day is your day. Um, you eat, all I'm asking you is to eat this amount of protein, but how you do that. But you gave me little nuggets of precious information that was slowly drip feeding into me every week. But it still took a while. It took a long time for me to kind of get to grips that I was in control of what I was eating.
Yeah,
Um, that was the biggest thing for me to get my head around initially. And eating the protein and knowing that I could, you gave me like 1,500 calories or something like that. I was like, that's ridiculous. There's no way that will work.
yeah, it's
You
probably
know,
higher than that, Emma. I
it
think you've
probably was.
forgotten. It was probably higher than that.
It probably was. And I was like, well, if you're not, you need to eat 1,000 calories a day. You kind of think that you have to eat minimal food in order to have a happy, healthy life. And yeah, that took some real unpicking from me. And I remember my weekly check-ins with you saying, right, I've got a piece of banana cake or something, and I've just had half of it. And you were like, well, that's absolutely fine, because I'm looking at your nutrition, and it's all within your goals. And you were giving me that reassurance and that acknowledgement that actually I could do this on my own. And that is the bit that has been the most empowering in my last year of being with you, is I am in control. I
Yeah.
am 100% in control of what I eat. There is no right or wrong food. That's what you've taught me. Um, every Obviously, some foods give me more nutrition, and you always used to. You do great little posts where you sort of show lovely nutritious food, but you say, but at the same time, if you can't manage that, then this is fine as well. And you give us that power to know that we can do it like do it without a diet plan as such.
Yeah. I think what, just to explain further what you're saying, so what I encourage and teach clients to do is, if I was to write you a meal plan, first of all, only dietitians are qualified to write meal plans. Personal trainers, um, coaches like me, even though I'm certified nutrition coach, I am not qualified to write to write meal
No,
plans, although many people do, unfortunately. But even if I were able to write a meal plan, it doesn't matter what I write in the meal plan if I'm not planning in meals and foods that you actually enjoy eating. So if
exactly.
I was to say, right, eat X, eat Y, and eat Z, but you don't actually like that, then it wouldn't work for you long term, because whatever you do when you're looking to improve your health and lose weight, in order for you to maintain that long term, it has to be something that you can do long term. So to change your diet too drastically and take you away from the foods that you enjoy eating,
Yeah,
it won't be maintainable long term. And that's why I give food suggestions, I
yeah,
give ideas, and I do feedback. As you've said, I've got resources and help where people, clients need it. But at the end of the day, people say to me, all of a sudden they start coaching, all right, what do I eat for lunch? And I say, well, what did you used to eat for
yeah,
lunch?
exactly. And that
let's
was
just
the
look
bit.
at Yeah, let's just look at making that lunch a little bit better quality,
Yeah.
and picking you up.
Nourishment.
Yeah,
Nourishment was the
nourishment.
word.
That's
That's
the
the
key
word you
word.
used. Yeah,
Nourishment.
nourishment.
Because that leads in, Emma, to what you really accurately and correctly said before, is as soon as someone starts a diet, their immediate reaction is, what can't I have? How little can I eat?
Yeah,
When in fact, that is not setting you up to succeed, because actually, successful dieting is about eating as much as possible,
yeah,
but within your targets.
yeah.
And it's a skill to eat as much as possible high volume foods. And it's something that you learned and did and
Through you,
applied
with the
over time.
support, with your support and education.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I needed. I needed education. You go to these places like Slimming World and Weight Watchers, and everything has a sins value, points value, but there is actual no education in that.
No.
Really, there is, well, not really. Absolutely, there's no education. Yes, they might say eat more fruit and vegetables and things like that, but um yeah, it was really interesting how you unpicked my mind. And some of it I remember kind of thinking, I'm not sure about that, not sure this is going to work. I'm going to set my calorie allowance for 200 calories less, or and just not tell Deborah. And obviously I never did, because you have to believe in it. It takes a while, but you begin to believe in what you're saying is true, because
Yeah.
then you start seeing results. But not only do you start seeing results, your coaching with me was more about my mind as well. And my mind, everyone's mind is so powerful. And as soon as you started to seep in to my way of thinking with all of your daily habit-based targets, every day I'll tick those off, I'll tick those off. And it is like that drip, 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 drip feeding in. They become part of your life. And it was all to do with the habits of you saying to me, if you're not hungry, don't eat it. Now, since a little girl, I've been told you eat what's on your plate. You eat it all up. That's a good girl. Eat up all your dinner. Actually, you said to me, it's okay to leave food.
Yeah.
But that's so, historically, that's so difficult to sort of overcome. But actually, there are times where you feel like you just eat what's on your plate because it's in front of you and you're not really hungry, but you're shoving it in. And the most important thing you said to me initially was about being mindful with my eating. And then that makes you reflect. And I'm like, oh yeah, I eat my breakfast when I'm walking.
I remember you telling me that your
three
sausages as you
chicken
were
sausages,
walking.
three
Yeah.
chicken sausages on my way to work. That's what I would do. And you were like, is there any way you could just sit down and be more mindful? And so you carve that into your day and that becomes your new routine. And routines are what keeps us all safe and regulated and, and secure. And so that now is my new routine. I don't eat breakfast on the go. I sit down and I eat breakfast. I never used to. And it's that mindfulness. We can all be so absent-minded when it comes to food and think, oh, that doesn't count, that doesn't count. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was the deeper work. And you kept on saying to me, there'll be deeper work to come, deeper work to come. And it was all of these little gems that you used to bring
Yeah.
out and say to me, mindfulness, don't eat everything that's on your plate. And again, it takes time for that to digest
Of course.
and for that to sort of stay consistent going forward.
Yeah. I mean, eating, it's like eating in a distracted state, or if you're
Yeah.
scrolling on your phone or walking
Yeah.
to work or whatever it is that you're doing. I liken that to, have you ever got in your car, driven somewhere, get to your
Don't know where.
destination, and you don't actually remember the journey?
Yeah.
They don't even remember how you got there. It's a
Yeah.
bit like that when you're eating in a distracted state, because you don't actually remember the taste of the food that you ate. You tend to eat quickly. Your digestion is poor.
Yeah.
You don't recognize fullness or satiety because you're eating so quick. Your hormones can't catch up to release the signal to tell you that you're reaching fullness. And so the satisfaction and satiety from eating in a much more mindful state is a lot more present, and it's more pleasurable and enjoyable.
Absolutely.
And it only
And
takes about 10 minutes, let's be
and
honest.
it
It doesn't
does.
take forever.
And I can't say that, and consistency wise, there are some days where you have got to grab and go. You just get
Yeah.
those mornings thrown at you, whatever. You just do. But 95% of the time, that has completely changed. Like from starting with you, my habits there have completely changed. And it's being more mindful and being present, not being on your phone, not sitting at my desk on a computer, at lunchtime, making an effort to go down to the staff room and just sit, be social, and have my food. And actually, uh, big picture, can you still see me?
I can't
Yeah.
see you, Emma, but oh yeah, you're there. You're there.
Okay. Sorry, we had a glitch there.
Yeah, we had a glitch.
Um,
We are middle-aged women being very technical. We're doing very well, Emma. We're doing
We
very
are
well.
doing well. We are doing well. My goodness, it's only taken us half an hour to get to this point, hasn't
We're,
it?
we're doing well.
Um, I don't know where I was saying. Yeah, and even just those little bit, then the connection with other people. You're not just sitting in isolation eating. It becomes more social because yeah, I'm just being more mindful. So
Yeah.
I remember those little daily habits and sometimes you'd whip a couple more in. What's all this I need to be doing every day? But I promise you, ticking those off at the end of the day, making sure there was fruit and veg on my plate, making sure that I had only eaten to when I was full and left some food. Not all the time, because sometimes I'm ravenous,
Of course.
and you wanna you wanna eat it all up. but just being mindful, sitting at the table, they drip feed in, and yeah, and that's
Do
why.
you do you
Sorry.
remember what you I remember what you told me one day. You were so proud of yourself. You told me that someone had brought donuts into work
Yes, yeah,
and you had playground duty
yeah,
and you were offered a donut. And do you want to tell the story how you
yeah,
what you did, because it's a really good reflection of how to apply to still have your donut but eat it in
yeah.
a mindful state. Do you want to
Yeah,
tell the
I didn't want
story?
to eat it on the playground, just with a cup of tea balanced on my travel mug. So I sort of said I will have a donut, but and I kept it to one side, wrapped it in a paper towel. We all know what those school paper towels
Yeah,
look like, don't we?
yeah,
And I just enjoyed it late at the end of the day when I could sit down and I had my donut. And I think I put that on my thing to you, didn't I? I said, I've
yeah,
had
you
my
did.
donut. I enjoyed it. I just didn't eat it like shoved it in my mouth while blowing the whistle, because
Yeah,
that is just senseless, isn't it? And
yeah,
I just and that's going forward now. Yeah, that's pretty much, if I want something, I'll have it, but it will take a little bit of consideration. And I think to myself, oh, actually, yeah, I will have that. I will have that, but I'm not going to have that now. I will take that home. I will have that at the end of the day with my cup of tea or something like that. You just jiggle things around in your head. And I don't know, being a mum of three and working, food is so important. You're constantly thinking about food, buying food, preparing food, cooking food, clearing up from food. It's all consuming sometimes. And like some of the deeper work you did with me, I think just made me feel really strong in terms of thinking I am in control of the things that I buy, the things that I cook. Um, I'm not being told what to buy, I'm not being told what to cook, but you gave me some sort of like parameters and I just worked within them.
mm,
And yeah, and it was liberating for me to suddenly think, yeah, I can. I can cook nourishing meals for the whole family
yeah.
and still be within target.
Yeah, I think that's really important because, taking care of your health as you have done and as you've learnt to do as time went on, just so that the listeners realize Emma has now finished coaching, but she coached for a year. And most of my clients are not short term clients because it takes time to do this work and to make the changes and change of mindset, because it's all
Mm,
about mindset and undoing and unpicking the previous dieting rules that have been formed. They may not be a conscious thought, but they're deep within you, as they were with you, Emma. And you
yeah,
have unpicked them. And it's a really brave thing to do because as adults, we don't want to be told what to do or how to act, or or to be told, to be told that we need to do this deeper work. But you have really, really taken everything on board, and it may have taken time, but, and I said this, I'm sure I've said this to you a number of times, this process that you have learned, what I call the process, this process is your life.
mm,
Learning to enjoy it and recognizing that it doesn't have to be done perfectly all the time, doesn't have to be done perfectly any of the
no,
time. But if you can do it the majority of the time consistently, you're going to make progress, as opposed to doing it perfectly some of the time and then not doing it at all for the other time. And I think that's something you've found, and like obviously put me right or put me straight or your side. But would you now enjoy something what we might deem as more highly palatable food, perhaps not so nutritious? I think before you started coaching, if you had, say, a biscuit or a slice of cake, would it have tended to lead to like, oh, well, I've broken my diet?
yeah, yeah, 100%. And so much so, like I reflect on last Christmas to how I'm feeling this Christmas, and the food will be there, but let's be honest, it doesn't. all have to be about the food, does it? My mindset's really changed this year. I'm looking forward. I, I'm just not buying into all of the stuff that's in the supermarkets, and I know
Yeah.
it's all there, but it's weird how I can stand there and go, actually, do you know what? I'm going to buy a couple of nice things that I know I will enjoy, with either a glass of wine or with a G&T or with a cup of tea, uh, whether it's a few nuts or something. I've got those things, but I'm not going like I have done in the previous years, where I have filled my cupboards full of biscuits and treats, and you just sit, and tubs of celebrations. Oh my goodness, if I didn't have like 3 backup tubs of celebrations in my cupboard,
Yeah.
because that's what you do,
Yeah.
don't you?
But do you know what though? It's like I don't blame you how you were, or people that maybe you're listening to this and we're talking about what you've done this Christmas, because we're recording this podcast in December, but it's coming out in January. So maybe you're listening to this thinking, I am that person who has
Mm.
3 reserved tubs. And
Oh
you know what? It's not your fault. The
no.
shops, to my recollection, were stocked full of Christmas foods, mince pies, tubs of chocolates from before Halloween, early
Yeah,
October. And you're going around the aisles and they're there, and they're selling them cheap, they're piling them high. I, I for your average, you know, person, it's very tempting. And when they're in your house, they're just
yeah,
calling at you, and
yeah,
it makes it very, very difficult, because setting up your environment, not, yes, learning to control yourself around food is something that we work on in coaching. But when you haven't had that support and all of a sudden you've got 3 tubs of chocolates in your house,
yeah.
I was that person. I remember being that person, and you get to the bottom of the tub and you're eating the ones you don't like, just
Yeah,
because
you do. Yeah.
they're the last ones left.
And you
And
think, oh, it will be January before we know it. I'll start my diet then.
yeah, it's a bit like, if you have a puncture in one of your car tires and you think, oh, what? Never mind, I got a puncture. I might as well just stab the other 3 just to make sure. And this is the mentality people use,
You do.
not through fault of their own, but
No.
to themselves. And your approach to Christmas, and I had another client as well that fed back to me just last week and said to me, I bought a tin of biscuits for the house. She said, last time in preparation for Christmas, I bought a tin for each person in the house. So
Oh,
you've
wow.
got, yeah, so you've got, instead of 4 tins, she's now bought 1 tin.
One. Yeah.
And it's that excess, but it is partly societal pressures,
Yeah, I
media,
know.
advertising,
Yeah.
marketing. Can't get away from it.
You can't, but I feel like I stand in there now in a much stronger position, just because of what we've done in the past year, just because of everything you've taught me,
Yeah,
just
that's
because
great.
yeah, you just do. It's really weird how, not weird, it's like, it's, I don't know, the strength. I believe your coaching has given me strength of mind, and that's powerful. Like I said a little bit, that's powerful. You also introduced me to journaling through your coaching. I didn't know what journaling was, and that has changed my life, and I've said that to you on 1 or 2 occasions.
Yeah.
And
Do
it's
you want to just
all of this.
explain what it is, Emma? What journaling is?
So journaling, I didn't quite know when Deborah said to me, well, do you ever journal? Not really. Didn't really know. Just write down a few bits and pieces. Um, and I went out and I bought myself a really nice little notebook and a pen. And I just started writing down. You gave me some cues initially. You gave me a document that you
Yeah,
had
some
sent,
prompts.
some prompts, just about how, reflecting on things like decisions that you've made, not just with food, just maybe emotional responses or things, how I have, how you sort of challenge your own behavior. It's like your own sort of form of counseling. I really feel it
It,
is,
it,
because it's
it
very
is.
sensitive. Um, And so I would start writing down in my journal, and again, it became a habit, and you start writing in it every evening. And such a powerful tool to make me realize not where I was going wrong, because I don't like to say that things were right or wrong, but it just makes you reflect on decisions that I may have made. And I was feeling angry. Why did I eat that bag of crisps when I came home? Things like that, not always to do with food. And then you look at the day that you might have had, and I think, oh yeah, I could have done that a little bit differently. I had huge sort of things going on in my life, even with my son about to go to university. I remember saying to you, I don't know how I'm going to cope. That beginning of the empty nest syndrome. And you said, just journal about it. So I wrote just those little things. It wasn't going to be 5 plates around the table anymore. I was only going to do 4, and all of those things.
Mm.
And you just told me to go through my journaling, to write down how I feel. How can I approach it? What can I do differently? What kind of activities could I maybe, or distractions could I give myself to help me through those times when I knew I was going to feel emotional or upset, which is valid and fine. I'm allowed to feel valid. I'm allowed to feel emotional, but without it dragging me down, and without then that emotional response when you turn to food, because that can so quickly happen. You
Yeah,
just feel upset and you think, oh, I just want a cup of tea and a big bar of Galaxy.
yeah,
And sometimes, or digest, 8 digestive biscuits and a cup of tea, because that's what you do, don't you?
yeah.
But
I
it was
mean,
different.
yeah, I mean, the journaling helps you reflect and gain
Yeah.
perspective and understand your behaviors, like you said, why you do what you do. And it's not about a negative approach to why you do the things you do. It's about understanding it and perhaps recognizing, like you said, the situation, the
Mm,
circumstances, and it is the emotional response that you have to that. And it's learning to it's learning to not react, but to actually respond in a more logical and
mm,
thoughtful way. And I know amongst many people, not just women, that emotional eating is is very apparent in a lot of people. We're all human, and we
yeah.
all sometimes need comfort, and
Yeah.
it's okay that food provides
Yeah.
us with that comfort. The issue is when food is your only source of comfort. That's when it becomes an issue, and that's when you have to start introducing other coping mechanisms, other tools in your toolbox to lean into, to call upon and lean into when you want to seek comfort outside of food. And that is exactly what you've learned to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's, sorry.
you're walking a lot more. You're
Yeah.
appreciating nature.
Yeah. That's what before I did this with you tonight, meet up with my friend that during my marathon training, she was my one person I went for a run with on a Tuesday night. And we're not running anymore. I've done the marathon, but we're walking. And every Tuesday night we go out and we just walk around. It's cold, but it's lovely. And the other day, just felt a little bit emotionally low, so I put on my trainers and I just go for a walk outside, feel the sunshine on my face, even if it's cold. Breathe in and out. There are so many things that I believe were instrumental that I do now in my life that were from you and from your coaching. The fact that I started yoga, um, I never thought,
Amazing.
I never thought yoga was an exercise, to be honest. If I wasn't sweating or aching the next day, and actually you do ache from yoga, but if I wasn't sweating whilst I was doing it and my heart rate wasn't increased, then that wasn't exercise, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the yoga is so fulfilling in so many ways, and it's nourishment. And that word nourishment that you use throughout your coaching, it's not just about food, it's about nourishing you as a person. And when you get to the perimenopause, menopause, teenage children, elderly parents, the one person I think is the least nourished in the family is probably the mother.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this last year, I'm going to get emotional.
Yeah. Me and Emma cry a lot.
Yeah.
Do you know how many? Do you know how many check-ins?
We do.
You cried, and
That's
I'm
not
replying
because
crying.
I like crying. It's
It's
a
good. It's
realization.
an emotion. It's better
It's
out
a
than in.
release.
Better
Um,
out than in.
I feel like I have nourished myself this year. And that for me is, I turned 50 this year. And the low body image days that I used to have, yes, I'm not going to lie and say I don't get them. Every now and then I do. But I remember I thought in my head I had a view of how I wanted to look on my 50th. And you know what? I might not have been in that particular size dress that I wanted to be in, but my 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 person, my psyche, my whatever felt comfortable and happy.
That's
And I
incredible.
believed I radiated that happiness. And because of that, it didn't matter what size dress I wore, it was more to do with the me inside the dress, you know? Does that make sense?
Emma, that is such that is
Oh,
I couldn't that is so perfectly
yeah,
put. And it kind of leads back into, like often when I feed back and clients do weekly check-ins, and I sometimes forget to talk about the physical progress of where they're at in terms of progressing towards their goal. Typically, a lot of my clients are after weight loss goals, and I get to the end of a check-in and I'm like, haven't even talked about like the weight
no.
loss, because actually, although it's a goal and although we're working towards it, it's not the main focus. We are focusing on your mind, your body,
Mm,
how you feel. And I talk
yeah,
about, feeling good, because when you feel good, everything else slots into place. All your
yeah,
other actions become more doable and more manageable. And it's about how you feel. And as a byproduct of feeling good, you do then begin to make progress.
yeah.
I liken that to, if you boil the kettle to make a cup of tea, if you stand there watching that kettle boil, it takes forever. You got
It
to go
does.
off and do something else. And it's like weight loss is it's the
Yeah,
side hustle to the main event. It's not the only thing that you're doing in your life. It's the side event of your main event of your life. And
absolutely.
I think that's where you've really gained. And just touching on the yoga. I mean, I'm so proud of you for doing that, and you make me feel very guilty because I'm trying to get back into yoga myself, having done
I
it
sent you the
before.
link. You have to have a
I know
look.
you have sent me the link, and I've been told by my coach to get back to yoga as well, because the mindfulness that you've explained that you're experiencing in yoga will help you in all areas of your
Yeah,
life, and improve, relationship with food, connecting with your sense of self, slowing
mm,
things down, being much more in touch with your body and how you feel. So there are a lot of benefits.
yeah,
And so I'm so glad that you found that, and that you're doing that, and you're doing it regularly, which is
yeah.
brilliant.
And it is those things. And you always used to say about the fat loss, weight loss is a byproduct. But every diet that I've bought into in the past, it promises 7 pounds loss in the first week, whatever it is. You go to Slimming World and it's all about the weight loss. That's all it's ever been about. So again, that takes a little bit of time to get your head around the fact that actually the weight loss is a byproduct, because actually when you are healthy, happy, strong,
Yeah,
the see what I did there?
so I'm letting you speak.
um
Very
when you
good.
are healthy, happy, strong, you can conquer the world and you can face whatever's thrown at you. Um and the weight loss will evolve from that, because you
Yeah,
are in that position of total empowerment. And that's what's happened to me this year. And like I said, the nourishment from you as a coach, you you allowed me to nourish myself and just put myself first.
yeah. Which, as you said before, mums typically, not always,
Yeah,
but typically, are so busy and committed to looking
Yeah,
after everybody else that they neglect themselves, when
yeah,
actually, as a mum, you need to put your oxygen mask on
on
first.
first, yeah.
You can then support all the people you love around you.
And if this just resonates with one other person out there to go, oh my goodness, that's me. I don't look after myself. I don't make time for myself. You know, sadly, you can't magic up time, but you do get to the position where you sort of think to yourself, actually, yes, I can do this for myself, and I will carve out that hour in the day. Or for the kettlebell workouts, you used to send me all of my body workouts. I'm like, no, Deborah said, I've got to do this to my family, so I'm doing it. This is and you, again, those habits just start drip feeding in.
Yeah,
And today, I've done my kettlebell walkout. Workout.
great.
I've gone for a walk. They are the habits still from
Yeah,
you from nearly a year ago.
yeah, they've become your new normal.
They are my new normal. Yeah.
Yeah,
I still get moments where you can feel low. I will still get moments where I can look at chocolate and think, oh, I just really fancy those. Um, we're all human,
but
you
you can
know. Of
still have it. You can still,
course you
nothing's
can.
restricted. Nothing's
No.
restricted. But I'm keeping you for a bit longer because I can't let this podcast go without mention to your marathon.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
The
because
goals
Emma,
changed, didn't it, a little bit?
yeah, no, it's fine because when Emma signed up for coaching, her goal was health and fat loss. After about 4 to 6 weeks, we just got started. She messaged me and she said, I've got a marathon place. And she'd not really run before. And I was like, right, okay, well, I have lots of running experience that I combine with my coaching. It's fine. But fat loss, whilst progressing towards a fat loss goal whilst training for a marathon, is going to be quite challenging
Mm.
because we have to fuel you and we need you to recover, and it's going to be a lot of high expenditure. And I'm like, you did the marathon
I know, woohoo!
with a
You were there
smile on your
cheering
face
me
for
on. I know.
26 miles.
Yeah, yeah. It was the most amazing day of my life. Never thought I could do it. And I remember those tearful moments that you've just heard from me. We had a couple of those during the marathon training where I didn't think I could do it. Um, but yeah, you again, the word nourishment, I'm going to bring that into play again because that's what it was about then as well, making sure I was eating the right kind of food to ensure I had the energy. And I remember when I was in that little hotel room the night before the marathon, I had my bagel with jam on it all ready to go. That's what you told me I needed to eat as I'm walking up, and then a banana, and then some flapjack or bits and
Yeah.
pieces, all of those things.
Yeah, it's funny, Emma. I've taken on another client who's recently started with me, who's got a marathon place, who's doing it for an amazing cause and personal reason. And she also hasn't run before. And I've
Oh,
used
oh.
you as an example because you are an amazing example because you did it. You did
She
it.
will do it if you have the emotion behind the motivation. And I was doing it for my dad. I literally, yeah, I did. I smiled. I don't think at one point when I was going across London Bridge or something, you were shouting my name, and I couldn't hear you because I was
Singing.
singing too
Yeah.
loud.
Singing. What a way to do a marathon. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the best
it
way.
was it was amazing. But yeah, my goal did change during my time. But again, I'm really pleased that your client has got you to help her coach her through the marathon, because what is it? I think I bought the Chris Evans book. It was a really good book actually, called 116 Days to Run a Marathon, and it just tells you every day. And actually, that had a little bit of a link to journaling in it. That might have been when I think I might have said to you about it, and that's when I started the deeper work
Yeah.
on the journaling. But yeah, what was it? 116 days to run a marathon, and with Deborah, 360 days,
Yeah.
65. No, with Deborah, 365 days to change my life. That's what your book should be called.
Amazing. I got one final question for you. What would
Okay.
you say to any other women who are listening who are currently not feeling their best selves, perhaps stuck in a yo-yo dieting cycle and desperate to improve their health, lose weight, and feel good? What would you say to them?
Get in touch with you. They
Okay. I mean,
get in touch with
I
you.
don't want people to think that this is a plug just for my
It
coaching,
isn't.
because it really isn't. It's to
I don't
hear
know what else,
how far
but
Emma
get
has
in touch with
come.
you.
But yes,
Stop.
do get in touch for coaching.
I don't,
But what would you say, Emma? Is it having gone? What, like, I
right.
want to put
Yeah, I know.
myself in your shoes. What?
There are other ways. You stop. Just stop. Stop with the fasting. Stop with the weighing in once a week. Stop with the not eating sugar. Stop with the keto. Just stop and think about you. Think about your eating habits and eat for pleasure and get in touch with you.
Yeah. You can get in touch with me. All my contact details are in the show notes.
Yeah.
And you can also follow me on social media, which are in the show notes, the links. And yeah, get in touch with me and ask me questions. And yeah, if you're interested in coaching, then do get in touch. But Emma, it's been an absolute pleasure to coach you. It honestly has. It's been a journey.
It has been a journey,
It,
but so it should be.
yeah, of course. And it's
This
been an
has been,
enjoyable journey. That's
yeah,
an
you
important thing, is
know,
to enjoy it.
when you look at what we've unpicked in a year, it's almost 25 to 30 years of my life
Yeah.
with the constant Rosemary Connolly back in the day when I was about 24, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
just for reference, Emma is 51, 50,
50.
50. I've not aged you, 50.
No,
So that was another client that was talking to me today at 51. 50. She celebrated her 50th this week. And although she has ended coaching, what I want to really highlight is that successful dieting, successful investment in your health, is the ability to maintain it going forwards. And now that you've left coaching, do
mm.
you want to just say, like, where you're at with things?
Yeah, I think I've left coaching. Well, like I've already mentioned to you during this podcast, I've done my kettlebell workout today. I've done my walk. Um, I don't know. My wardrobe always used to be like, oh, I'm not going to buy myself anything new, not until I've lost weight. I'm not going to buy it in that size because I want to be this size. You know, that was my mindset. Didn't used to go, you know, at the weekend, I will go out and buy myself things if it makes me feel good. Not unnecessarily, but just because I think, actually, yeah, that will look nice on me. Because, like I said a little while ago, it's the drip feeding of the habits throughout this past year that have been consistent. And what do you say? Imperfectly
Yeah,
perfect.
imperfectly consistent. We're
Yeah,
not striving.
imperfectly.
Yeah, we're not definitely not striving for perfection.
No.
And
It,
what you've talked about about buying clothes that make you feel good, this all contributes to an improved body image, because your body image is actually different to your actual physical body composition, and you are doing all the right things to promote a healthy body image. And we are all human, and of course, to the best of us, we experience low body image days. Trust me, I have them. I have many of them myself. You have low body image days, but it's actually nothing to do with your body composition.
no.
But you learn to just bat it away
Yeah.
and carry on with your day,
Yeah.
and not let it lead into self punishment or shame. You just carry on with your day and you do all the things that make you feel good.
But no, I kind of feel like now have gone it alone. I feel like you gave me all of the tools, the advice, the education, the support that I've needed in these past 12 months for me to go it alone. It wasn't easy initially, but actually it's now easier than I thought it was. It wasn't easy initially because I thought, oh, I'm going to miss not having Debra, da, 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 da. But actually it's easier than I did expect because the work has been done.
Mm.
and this is where we are now.
Yeah.
And the work has been done. And yeah, and like I said, I stand here or sit here stronger and healthier and happier.
Oh, and on that note, Emma, I'm going to thank you so much for your time. And I know that many people listening to this are going to benefit and feel inspired by what you have achieved.
I hope
And
so.
and as much as I miss you, nothing pleases me more or makes me more happy than a client who has learned how to manage themselves and continue improving and maintaining their health and progressing towards their goal after, long after coaching ends. And that's the goal, and that makes me so happy, and just a huge well done to you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me as a guest on your podcast. I've really
Oh,
enjoyed it.
well, anytime. It's been a
Thanks,
pleasure to have you.
Deborah.
Thank you.